The East Fishkill Zoning Board meeting to order. Can we start with a roll call?
Mary Seminara.
Aziz Hassan.
Norma Drummond.
Tara Franco.
We have one more member who is on his way, but we do have a quorum, so we're good for that. Can I ask everyone to stand, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, our next two meeting dates are Tuesday, June 26th and July 24th. We have, just for anyone's information, if you're here for items number 1 or number 3, there is not going to be any action taken on either one of those. Number 3 has actually been withdrawn. We'll go through it in the order that it comes through, but just to give you a heads up. And then we have one set of minutes to approve. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of April 24th as amended?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good, thank you. All right, so again, there's no action on item number 1, that Mr. DiPaolo's application is still pending, or the request from the zoning board and the planning board is still before New York State DEC. So we're going to move to item number 2, which is Appeal 3867 Tucker, Scott Tucker, 109 Route 216 Stormville, is requesting a special permit to bring in 20,000 yards of fill in order to bring his lot on Seaman Road up to grade to prevent flooding as it is used for farming purposes pursuant to section 194-75 of the zoning ordinance. All right, this is one where our public hearing is actually already closed. We were waiting to issue a decision, but in the meantime, we have received some correspondence from our neighbor, the town of Beekman. So I'm actually going to ask for a motion from the board to reopen the public hearing because I believe there's information we need to evaluate. The other thing is that Mr. Tucker informed us that he had a visit from New York State DEC to his site yesterday, and they are doing some testing because apparently was some questionable fill delivered to his site. So I believe we have to reopen the public hearing. Tom has agreed with me on that, so.
I make a motion to reopen the public hearing.
And we're going to re-advertise to reopen the public hearing. We're not going to reopen it this evening. We're going to ask him to post so that and we'll make sure he posts it with the right quantity of fill this time, not 200,000 yards. So you have a motion to re-advertise to open the public hearing next month. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So Pam, can you please inform Mr. Tucker he'd take out his sign and just change the date? And then let's repost it, and so this way we can consider the additional information that has come in and then make an informed decision based on that. All right, again, item number 3 has been withdrawn, so we are now up to item number 5? Sorry, it's item number 4, which is really item number 5, which is a public hearing. So there are 2 public hearings this evening, which is an opportunity for us to hear comments from any neighbors. These are applications that we've already had an opportunity to review. So we're looking to get input from neighbors who may have better insight on the properties in the neighborhood. So the first one, item 3869 Bonomo, Daniel J. Bonomo, 53 East Tilden Place, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a 15-foot rear line variance for a proposed 18-foot by 50-foot deck extension pursuant to section 194-17 of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good evening, if you don't mind. Thank you. Okay, so last month we had an opportunity to review your application with you. You have a new house in the Hopewell Glen development. You right now have a really, really little tiny deck on the back of your property. You kind of tucked into the way the back line, the rear line of your house is. You kind of got little inlets, and it's not a straight line out the back. And so you've got a little 8x10 deck in the back. And you came to this board asking to be able to put an 18-foot deck across the entire length of the rear of your house because of some medical issues that your wife is dealing with, where she has some depth perception issues and other issues where it's for her safety to be able to give her some more room to be able to enjoy outside because of, the limitations based on her eyesight and other things. So without going into too much detail or anything like that. You know, we spent quite a bit of time on this. You did go to your HOA, your homeowners association. They have agreed to allow you to build a deck up to the limits of their, whatever, the 15-foot
Setback,
setback that they allow, right? And we did note that you have, the open space easement is actually behind your property. So your going backwards is actually not going to ever impact anybody behind you because of that open space easement. Additionally, your house is at the end of a cul-de-sac, so where your neighbors are kind of at an angle, and so they won't have any direct impact by you, this extension on your deck as well. So I think, you know, all things considered, it's, and given the medical issue that, you know, you have to deal with, I think I'm satisfied. I don't know if there are any questions or comments from any other board members at this point.
I'm good.
Anything you want to add?
Did my neighbors send the email?
Yes, I will, I
Oh,
just
I
haven't
was
gotten to that yet, I just,
No, I have no comments.
okay. All right, thank you. So we are open for public comment. We did actually get letters from, I want to say, 2 of your neighbors. So the first is from Denise Panza, dated April 26th. I'm the neighbor of Dan Bonomo at 57 East Tilden Place, and I'm totally fine with them building their deck and getting a zoning variance. So that was the first one. There's another one from David Deal, dated May 2nd. This email is to let you know that I own the property directly adjacent to Dr. Bonomo's, and I have no objection to the plans to construct a deck in his backyard. Thank you for your assistance with the variance request. And, okay, there's actually another one. So this was dated May 3rd from Jared Altman. My name is Jared Altman, and my wife Roseanne and I live at 42 East Tilden Place, which is directly across the street from 53 East Tilden Place, where the applicants Dan Bonomo and Sherma live. We are aware that they are applying for a setback variance to erect an 18-foot by 50-foot deck at the rear of their home. Neither my wife nor I believe that we will be negatively affected by the planned deck, and as their neighbors have no objection. So with that said, we thank you for talking to your neighbors so that, you know, you could answer any of their questions. So is there anyone here who wishes to speak for or against the request from Daniel Bonomo, 53 East Tilden Place, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 15-foot rear line variance for a proposed 18-foot by 50-foot deck extension? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Mary, you ready?
Sure. This is appeal number 3869 for Daniel J. Bonomo for a 15-foot rear line variance for a proposed 18-foot by 50-foot deck extension pursuant to Section 194-17 of the zoning ordinance. It's located at 53 East Tilden Place in Hopewell Junction. Resolution offered by Zoning Board member Mary Seminara. Whereas the applicant has applied for the above-stated variance, and whereas this action is a Type 2 action under seeker and no further action is required, and whereas this board moves to adopt their standard decision in order and finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to the community, as the house is located on a cul-de-sac and backs up to approximately 50 feet of open space, which is heavily lined with evergreen trees. The board has received a the board has received a letter from the Homeowners Association approving the applicant's request. The desired result cannot be achieved by some other means, as the homeowner has a disability that affects her ability to live in closed spaces. The variance is requested in order to maximize a level outdoor area for her to maneuver around. The existing house has an approximately 10-foot by 13-foot deck, and the rear of the house and deck are approximately 33 feet from the rear property line, where 30 feet is required in this CRD. The 50-foot wide deck will span the whole rear of the house, but because of the angles of the neighboring houses, this will not be very visible to them. The variance requested is not substantial. The proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. Now therefore be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the above-stated variance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Votes as follows: Jim?
Aye.
Aziz?
Aye.
Tara?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
And myself, aye. Your motion carries. You're all set. Now you'll just deal with the building department and getting a building permit.
Do I need to carry something to them, or?
No, they're aware of it. You'll go when the office is open, okay? So, thank you. You guys are done for the evening. Yes? Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so item number 6, we'll keep with the numbering on the agenda. Appeal 3870 Meyer, William C. Meyer, 4 Spring Meadow Lane, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a 7-foot rear line variance for a proposed 10-foot by 18-foot shed and a 13-foot sideline and 42-foot rear line variance for a proposed swing set pursuant to Section 194-107B3 and 194-17 of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good evening.
Good evening.
So, last month, we did have an opportunity to review your application. At your request, I did meet you and your wife out at your home, and had an opportunity to see firsthand what you were talking about when you said all of your neighbors had everything tucked into the tree line. That is absolutely correct. It was all the way down, really, for the pretty much, as I looked up the hill, every property had a swing set, a slide, the sheds, everything was in fact tucked into the property line. In addition, though, you have a couple extra constraints in your backyard, that you have, your septic fields are back there. You actually had to take down 2 or 3 of the evergreen pine trees that were there because it affected, where the fields were. You have a buried gas tank in the backyard there. So you really did have multiple other issues to deal with. And then where your shed is now, the shed that you want to be able to expand, your ability to expand it is going to impact the health of the tree because you'd be impacting the roots. So
And I have to
obviously, it's
cut
more
'em down,
important to keep a tree to the extent that we can, even though you have a tree farm directly behind you, so. And you actually have the benefit of the fact that since your property line dispute was resolved in your favor, you have several extra trees on your property now. So I did appreciate you guys, have let me come out there and see this, because it was definitely clear what that visual tunnel kind of that you kept talking about to us was about. At the end of the street, this is the second house in, there's a barn on the corner there, and so across from there, the Wright's nursery or farm, whatever, it's just clear that there's a visual cleared area. So it was, it's not, it was probably, I want to say 40 feet, probably from the rear of your house to that tree line. That's why I'm saying the whole middle area there really is filled with your septic.
Yeah, it's
the
a
septic
little bit
fields.
further than that, probably maybe
Probably,
50,
I
55 or something
didn't
like that. But you're close.
I didn't measure it out or
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
like that, but it was a lot smaller than I got the sense from looking at a plan. So you have more area in your front yard, just the way those homes were laid out.
Yep.
The backyards were made, were made a little bit smaller. So with that, I'm just saying I was very comfortable with what I saw there. You do at the pieces of the swing and the play equipment are actually there. They're tucked behind the shed right now, so it's like a reddish color. So it's not like bright yellow or anything like that where it would actually really stand out. It's gonna blend in, really pretty well with the trees there. So I don't think it will be highly visible at all.
I'm good.
All right, any other questions from board members? Is there anyone here who wishes to speak for or against the request from William Meyer for Spring Meadow Lane, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 7-foot rear line variance for a proposed 10-foot by 18-foot shed and a 13-foot sideline variance and 42-foot rear line variance for a proposed swing set? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Antara?
It's appeal number 3870 for William Meyer. It's a 7-foot rear line variance for a proposed 10-foot by 18-foot shed and a 13-foot sideline variance, 13-foot sideline and 42-foot rear line variance for proposed swing set pursuant to Section 194-107B3 and 194-17 of the zoning ordinance. Resolution offered by Zoning Board Member Tara Franco, whereas the applicant has applied for the above stated variances, and whereas the action is a Type 2 action under SECRA and no further action is required, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals moves to adopt their standard decision in order and finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to the community, as both the shed and the swing set will be tucked into the trees to the rear of the house, as many in the neighborhood are. The desired result cannot be achieved by some other means, as the septic fields are located in the rear of the property as well as the buried gas tank. The variance requested is not substantial, and the proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions, as there are a few rows of evergreens between the lots and the lots to the rear. Now therefore be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby grants the above stated variance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Votes as follows, Jim?
Aye.
Aziz?
Aye.
Tara? Aye. Mary?
Aye.
And myself, aye. So your motion carries, you're all set.
Great, thank you very
Okay?
much.
You need a building permit for the shed, though. Okay? Have a good night. All right, so that's it for public hearings. There's not any further public comment, and for the most part, the applications, actually, I think all the applications that are on our agenda are the first time the board is actually going to be reviewing them. So item number 7 is a review for Appeal 3871 De Palma. James De Palma, 2194 Route 52, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a 919-square-foot variance and a 3-foot height variance for an existing 28-foot by 32-foot two-story detached garage, and a 400-square-foot variance for a proposed 20-foot by 20-foot addition to the garage, which is located in front of the dwelling pursuant to Section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Mr. De Palma. Good evening. Pam, the garage that's located in front of the dwelling, is there a variance for that? No. When was the garage built that's in front of the,
2005, fully permitted, fully inspected, and a C of O.
Compliance.
it has a CC, but, okay, so it was, when did the code go into effect for garages in front of, never mind, detached garages in front of, okay, let's just deal with it.
It's not that old, yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, that's why it was passed, because the number were approved by
okay.
Newbauer, yeah.
All right, so you already have an existing 28-foot by 32-foot, two-story detached garage, okay? So how many bays is that garage?
2 bays.
2 bays, okay. And so now you're asking for a 20-foot by 20-foot addition. Again, this is all in front of your house. And I understand the back of it,
The back of it goes up a hill.
well, the back of it is Route 52.
Technically, no. It's on
Technically, no?
it's on an angle, so that could be what is Shenandoah Road.
Okay,
52 is the right-hand corner of it.
So you have like two front yards, basically.
yeah, it's a corner lot,
Technically, yeah.
so,
I don't know if it's a corner lot. That's not my property next to me. It's an IBM property next to me with an easement where the road used to pass through to go to Route 52.
Okay.
Which was closed in 25 years ago, I guess.
right?
I built the house 18 years ago.
So your property line does not go up to the line of Route 52, is that what you're saying?
That's the side of my house, Route 52,
That's why I think
Well,
we're getting
it's-
confused by
it's-
back and side too, I'm not,
and my
You have
address is in
frontage,
Route
if your
52.
property has frontage on a road, it is a front yard. Whether it is physically the front, back, side, or whatever of your house is a different matter,
Okay,
okay? But it is a front yard in the event that you have multiple corner lot or multiple frontages on streets,
okay.
all
Do you have
right?
a survey by any chance?
Yes, I do. You should have
Because I
copies
think-
of it in a full
Yeah.
size.
The thing is, it looks like a sliver of a land that is between 52 and your property, and I don't know who owns that property.
The state owns the property.
that is 52.
Okay, so then that is 52, then yeah, so you have okay, that answers my question. So you have basically two front yards, one faces Route 52, and the other one faces Old State Route.
So this is the road you were saying that used to be by IBM, I think.
But still, it's a Shenandoah Road, still working, still operational.
But that's, I'm just trying to explain what he was trying to explain. This is one he was saying was owned by IBM, this is owned by by the state for Route
Okay,
52.
so you got a front yard and a front yard.
Yep.
And the Old State Road is also active?
This is Shenandoah, that's not.
This is side yard.
Well, again, so your property basically
Where's the
is on
front? Just the front door.
Old State Road, Shenandoah,
This
and
is
52.
really his front.
Yeah,
Correct.
So you got,
that's when they redid it originally, yeah,
Beside
this actually has a long history.
Which is
This
fine,
was
because it's not very
owned by
clear.
the state, and they were gonna bring a highway all the way from New York
Front
City
side
to
yard,
come in
front
here.
side yard.
And then they sold the houses they owned. And
That
that's when
wasn't
they
until
changed
2012, yeah.
Shenandoah, used to come out, and they closed that
2017.
off, so you have to come down Lime Kiln to get to 52 now.
Correct.
That was done, I don't know, about 12, 15 years ago? Was it that long ago?
It's longer than that. It was
Yeah.
closed when I
And they
purchased
never
the
did
property.
it. I'm trying to think about when they sold, that house that's on the corner that you can't see, that white house, had been owned by New York State for quite a long time, and then they auctioned it off, and somebody bought it and converted it back into a home.
That's the other side of the road.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's across the street from me,
And, yeah, how long has your house been there?
18 years.
So, yeah, so about 20 years ago they did, and then you built there. And, yeah, I know where this is now, that's with, that garage, I'm familiar with that. You got an old gas pump out in front of your garage there? Yeah.
It's not, doesn't have gas in it.
I don't
No,
know.
I know. It's just a design, an antique gas pump.
Although people have pulled up to it and knocked on the door and asked me to give them gas.
Yeah, it's just a decoration, yeah.
Do you actually have a garage in your house? This is a detached garage you're asking for. Do
correct.
you also have a garage in your house?
Yes,
You do, okay. So when we've gotten requests for I'm going to say oversized garages, we have asked for a floor plan. What's the need for the additional garage space?
well, I have a couple of older vehicles that I basically store in there. The,
Okay.
two-car garage, and the other garage is basically become a storage area. One car is there under the house, and when I can fit a second car, we do that.
Okay,
The addition is, as I'm planning to retire, I've gotten into restoring pedal cars. So the addition is really for me to have room to restore the pedal cars.
it's a
and move.
hobby, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
No, this is a hobby. No. They're all in the storage space above the existing garage now.
it's storage space above?
Well, it's two-story, the garage is 2 stories. It's a
Okay.
finished storage space above.
Okay. Does the garage have electric?
Yes.
It does, okay. The
No
per-
bathroom, no water.
Okay, all right, so it's not a apartment,
No.
but it is finished space that is
Right.
being, right now, used as part of your hobby area.
Right.
Are we comfortable with that? Okay, just making sure. All right, so the additional space is being requested to give you more room to work on,
Right.
Your
Right now,
hobby.
I can't work in the garage because of the vehicles that are in it and the tools that I have. So it's really to move the tools out of the way to give me more room in the existing garage and then use the other space to play.
are you proposing any screening behind your house? Behind the garage? Because that garage is visible from Route 52.
Well, it's
So-
depressed also. My property is
I
lower.
understand, it's down a little bit, but it is visible, so that's why I'm asking, are you proposing any screening behind there?
No. Not at this time. There are trees there.
Because that's going to be one heck of a structure. You know, I mean, the size of a structure.
It's going to be low, it's only a single story. It's only going to be
I
14
know,
foot high.
but you're talking about a 20-foot by 20-foot structure next to a 28-foot by 32-foot structure. So, I mean, adjacent to each other, what's the footprint of your house?
I think it's 1,875 feet, I believe. 1875. I'm about 150 square feet short of what I need. That's also in the variance. However, I must say, I did not put in a variance that I'm looking to, I don't know why the variance says anything about the existing structure. I have no reason to get a variance on a property that's CO'd. So we really should only be talking about the addition to my existing structure, which is legal. So I'm a little confused how that came about. That's not on my application.
Well,
Let's be clear, we have to answer his question here,
Well,
so,
the original garage complied, so it was CC'd.
right.
Now he has to get a variance to enlarge it because in 2017, I think, or 2014, it was changed that you can't have garages in the front yard, so that's why you need a variance.
So-
So when
For
you're
the
getting it,
addition.
it's a
well, but if there's screening requested, that, it could be a condition of the variance to allow you to
Okay.
expand the structure.
Okay.
Because you're not
Now, I'm
building
talking
a
about the screening now. I'm talking about the
I
structure
think
itself.
another way to say it is that when the law changed, your garage became a non-conforming use.
Correct.
So you're allowed to keep it
Right.
because you have your CO. But once it becomes non-conforming, you have to get permission to expand that
Right,
non-conforming use.
exactly.
I understand that.
So that's in essence why we're here, because you're not asking for a separate structure, you're expanding the existing
Right.
structure.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
so I understand, just looking at your garage, are you looking to go off the back, which would be towards 52, or are you looking to go off the side, which would be towards your house?
It's facing the garage is the right side,
So you're going off the right side?
So it's towards your house,
Yeah.
which,
be towards the house.
towards,
This right
Is
there?
it
it's
straight?
52.
Is it going to be
it's
straight?
kinda
Is it
weird,
going to be
it's on an
cat-cornered
Well, I'm
toward the
going by
house?
your driveway.
It's
Your
this way.
driveway goes up to the garage, and you have the antique pump there.
Right.
That's the front of your garage, or what?
That's the front of my garage,
So you're going to the right,
correct,
okay, so that would be towards your house. You're getting closer to your house with the garage,
Right.
correct,
more or less. I know it's at an angle.
yeah.
And the garage is how wide?
The addition or the existing?
The existing is,
28 by 32,
is 28, so you're gonna be smaller than the existing,
yes.
okay.
So are you proposing to build the garage straight? You're just going to continue it out? Or are you going to cat-a-corner it? How's the,
It's going to be centered on the existing right side. I have a plan if you want to say it.
that would be helpful, because what we have doesn't really give me much to work with. I'm not seeing anything that shows,
Just say has a box size proposed and beyond
yeah,
that.
it just says proposed, it doesn't show me in relation to the existing.
I got it.
This was planned, this was filed already, this plan.
And so the question is, do we have an issue with the 100-foot road here?
He just makes 100.
He just makes 100 feet.
He had a survey done.
Yeah, there's a survey.
Yes, please.
And it's,
Yes, I just have one.
But you're getting
just-
closer, so you gotta make sure you stay away from
yeah. So, yeah.
Of the garage. This is the new addition. So this is where the gas pump is
Yeah.
that you referred to.
Yep.
Okay, so my driveway to my house comes up here, my driveway actually sits up here.
Okay, so you don't even have a garage
you just look
door,
at
you're
this.
just having...
Yeah, you just look at it, just.
You're gonna go where the
Alright,
shadow is,
that
right?
Actually, no, it helps with the look of it, because then it...
I have to look at it. Nobody
Yeah,
else can see it.
Okay, but again,
You're going where the shadow is on this,
That's correct.
yeah.
you're going in that direction, and you're still 100 feet away from.
Yes, the survey shows that.
1.4.
Yeah, it's just a little,
Okay, barely makes it. Okay.
Right in.
Somebody planned that really well.
Carved in thing.
Can we see what it's gonna...
Easy to look at it.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Says 100 feet to edge of.
Okay, so yeah, this is good.
Okay, that helps, yes.
Yeah,
This is
from
the
the corner.
existing we're going now.
Can you see it?
Yeah. Is there a shed on the property?
It's...
yeah, we have a copy, but it's the smaller size.
Property
No,
line.
we don't have this
We
one.
don't have this, all we have
Yeah, it's
is
in your
Oh, I have
packet.
that one.
this
Oh, no,
and
not
this.
that. No.
Yeah, so we don't have...
We don't have this one.
We don't have this.
The one that garage
Always
with
says
the,
Oh, it's
proposed?
different, yeah, it shows
No, ours
proposed.
just is the 1 square for the
Unless it just
existing
didn't
garage.
print.
yeah, it doesn't really,
I mean, otherwise
that would
it's
be-
That's all, it's all right, it's fine.
Here,
This helps us to understand it.
whatever
What
it
is this?
say it's
Is this a
50
shed
feet
or-
Up here,
'Cause it's not on the survey.
is it up here?
see what I'm saying? The
It's right
property
here.
line keeps changing, it's not a straight line.
What's the
Easement's not a
size of the
straight
shed?
line.
But again, when was the
But
survey,
it's
when was the survey done?
more than 15 feet in from your property line, right?
How big is the shed?
10 by 12, I think.
Okay, so it's
No,
still
eight-
okay.
8 by 12.
So small one, so it's still within the 144.
Yeah,
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, because it doesn't show up here, but
All right, so is there an elevation drawing here? Can we see what the front of this is going to look like? Because we do have a height issue, we have a height variance on the for original, too.
Over here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually know how tall it is.
Somebody told
14,
us.
this is 14. I think this is 14 feet here.
I think it was like,
Around 24, 25 feet.
I think you need like 3 feet. I think you need 3 feet for this top one.
I'm just curious if there's a front look of the,
You know, it's the same as the rear.
so is the front going to be,
Okay, it's gonna look just like this.
okay, so the front is windows and it's not doors?
No, the door's on the side.
Got it, okay, there's just that one door here. Okay. All right, that's going to make it look much more like it's almost just a
It's gonna
separate
match.
house kind of
The
thing,
siding,
yeah.
the existing siding matches the house now, and this is gonna be the same siding. Which is all, everything's tan.
Okay, so you're not, clearly not bringing additional motor vehicles in for it, it's...
No.
Okay. How are you going to get the pedal, the whatever your vehicles that you're going to...
36-inch door. There's little pedal bars.
Okay.
Like you had when you were a kid.
Okay.
They hadn't
Probably
invented
not
them
me.
yet for me. They didn't invent them yet for me.
You know, little fire trucks.
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh, okay, now I know what you're talking about, okay.
Yeah.
Actual pedal cars, no
Wow.
motorized
Okay,
battery operated thing.
all right.
Okay,
Are we comfortable with this?
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna,
Anything you're concerned about, Rick? No? Okay, you can have your plans back. Thank you very much for sharing them. All right, so do I have a motion to put this on for public hearing for next month?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Mr. Palmer, Pam will give you your information because you have to get a sign and post it. How many signs does he need? Two, right? One on the cul-de-sac and
side.
one on 52?
Yep.
Okay. So Pam will give you your instructions and then
yeah,
just
that's
have
not
to pick up
really,
signs and post signs on your property.
yeah, it's not really a cul-de-sac. just-
Right, well, the end of a street.
I
To the
understand.
extent that you talk to your neighbors, it would be helpful if, you
I
know,
have one.
okay. Sometimes that helps too.
I do. The other unit is a rental, the White House you referred to.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't even know if anybody's living there.
you got, yeah, you do have some people up Shenandoah a little bit there and the other way, so I know
Problem.
next, when you say neighbor right next to you, there's one, but there's a couple in the area. I mean, if
Okay.
you can get
Right
letters from
across the
them.
street on 52.
Probably
I
not
was
close
just
enough.
right there. Okay.
Yeah, it may not be close enough, but Pam will give
Pose
you,
it there
Pam has
so people
instructions for
driving
you.
by can see
Okay.
it.
Pick them up tonight or?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
she can hand it to you right now. All right, so item number 8, Appeal 3872 Slow Shower, Eddie Slow Shower, 40 Brandy Lane, Wappingers Falls, is requesting a 4-foot height variance for 38 feet of existing 8-foot lattice fencing, which is in front of the dwelling. 4-foot height variance for 115 linear feet of existing 8-foot high lattice fencing, as well as a 2-foot setback variance for all fencing pursuant to Section 194-98 of the zoning ordinance.
Good evening,
Evening.
everyone.
So again, this is the first time we're seeing your request. My understanding is you bought the house, the fencing was there.
Been there 25 or 30 years.
I did drive by it the other day, because obviously it's convenient for me to drive by it. Explain why you want to keep this. If you just drop this down to 4 feet, you don't even need any, it doesn't matter about the property line being, it doesn't have to be 2 feet in. So explain why
Well,
you're...
we have kids and dogs on both sides, and in the back of the house is a gully, and it is a bit of a deer trail. So if I lower the fences, I'm going to have, I mean, I get the deer anyway because the back of the property is only chicken wire, you know, that just blocks off where the gully is and where the runoff goes down. I mean, they come anyway, it's been there, and just as a deterrent, and it does, you know, it does give a little bit of privacy from the neighbor. I mean, again, it's a lattice fence, you can still
Yeah,
see
it's a
through it.
lattice fence.
Originally, when I bought the house, the lattice fence was there, and there were giant pine trees that ran all the way down. So the lattice fence was actually buried within the pine trees.
Okay.
It's because I wasn't thrilled with pine trees. It was a mess, and half of them were dying, and then from the storms, they would break, so I just decided, I took all of them out, and then the lattice fence was just exposed, and it's just been that way, you know, for 10 years or so when I took it down on that side of the property. So it's always been there. Cutting it down, I don't know, between the dogs back and forth, it just, it's always been there. So,
But I have to comment, it is tired looking.
well, I'm in
Not
the...
straight, some of it goes out, some of it goes in.
That's
It's-
because from the storms and everything else, and if you did notice passing, I have started to replace some of the,
Just in the
and I
front,
stopped
you would-
doing that once, because I didn't want to continue to do anything until everything,
Because there were some missing
Okay.
panels too, at least.
right,
on
well,
the
the
right
storm and then
side.
the last storm didn't help either. So, yeah, a lot of it has come down, and I've been replacing some of the pieces as I go along, but then I stopped replacing it, obviously, until coming in front of the board to find out.
But it also is not continuous, like it doesn't meet your house, so it's not a deterrent for animals. There's
Well,
wide open spaces.
The problem with that is when it was originally built, which I didn't do that, in the front of the house from that section on the right-hand side, the ground goes kind of this way. So in order to put the lattice fence in, you would have to do some excavating to level off the property to run the fence, let's say, straight from where it is to butt it up against the house. So at the time, whoever decided to do this just did it halfway where it was level, and then when the ground went up, just put in chicken wire for the rest of the, you know, from that point up to the house.
What's that, chicken?
And I mean, I've had come out fencing companies, give me an estimate, this and that, and again, you know, on the project of things to eventually get to, but that's the problem why originally, in my opinion, the person never brought the lattice all the way to the house, because the way the house sits, you know, the ground is not flat, it's a bit of a hill, and it runs down. So you would need excavating the front part of the yard and into the rear part of the yard in order to put a level fence.
I could see on the left side of your house why you're asking for the 2-foot variance, or why the fence was put where it was, because it looked like the existing neighbor had put up a stockade fence, probably right on the property line there, because it's in the rear line of the house. And so it
Right.
looked like the lattice started right where that stockade fence
Well, what they put the
began.
lattice on that side because the driveways, and it was for a deterrent to block coming in. I mean, that was always there, and I guess
Yeah.
that was my opinion as to why it was put there, just to give some privacy between pulling into where my garage is, which is here, then the fence, and then you have the neighbor's house here, and their garage is right there. So you're kind of right there, and again, whoever did it 25 years ago put up for, and again, the other issue, not the issue, but when I first moved in on that side, that entire fence on the neighbor's side was all covered bushes and trees going all the way down the side of the fence. So again, when they moved in, they ripped all of that out and then exposed everything on their side.
Okay.
And that also has had some damage. I've tried to replace those as well, just from the storm and just the fact that they're 25 years old and those things, you know, if you touch it, it just falls apart, it just splinters.
So,
The only reason I'm asking is, I mean, because it's always been there. It
Right,
hasn't been an
but that-
issue
that-
with
that doesn't-
anybody.
that doesn't mean it needs to continue, that's part of the issue. Because the code does say that a fence above 4 feet in front of the house should be a decorative fence.
Well, it's not the front, it's, not- I'm, are we-
You're
we're
asking
saying-
for an 8-foot variant, you know, the 4 extra feet in the front, you're asking
Well,
for,
it comes this way, it's not this in front of
doesn't
the house.
matter.
Okay, I'm
In
just
the
saying,
front line
it's
of
just,
the
it's
house.
the line of the house, it's always there. I mean, if I take the lattice down,
It sounds to me like, and the posts are wood posts that
Yeah,
have been there,
they've been there for
most of they're
25
in
years, too.
concrete, in the ground.
but the posts themselves are probably starting to rot out.
Right.
Actually, the posts are not in that bad of condition. The lattice is, you know, I mean, again, they're old and falling apart. The posts are not in bad condition. I mean, if I replaced it, I just popped the lattice out and put new lattice in, and it looks like it's brand new.
The dilemma this board has is that we've had requests for 8-foot fences before because of deer, okay? But in the last instance, we
Well,
dealt
which side are
with
we
it.
talking about? Are we the driveway side or
And
the others?
your request for an 8-foot fence.
Okay.
The request that we dealt with last time was because somebody really had a garden that the deer would get in and eat.
Well, there is a garden there, too.
Understood, but
backyard.
he was asking for a much smaller fenced-in area for 8-foot, and we didn't agree with it. So, you know, you have a yard that's open, deer can walk it in any way. I'm not sure I'm understanding how replacing this is gonna prevent deer. It's not. So,
Well, I mean, I was replacing it just because the pieces were broken, and I was just replacing the broken pieces.
So you
I mean,
that's fine.
my-
I'm not agreeing with
Okay.
it, so.
I'm just saying the reason, okay, I'm just saying my original is because the building department told me in order for a C of O for the deck that I have to replace that's broken, they will not issue me a C of O unless I take care of the fences, because back in 2007 or 2008, I believe, you guys changed,
Not us.
well, not you, but the town changed it. I mean, like I said, it's always been there. I wasn't looking to change anything, I wasn't looking to do anything, I'm just looking to get the C of O issued for the deck that's damaged, that has to be replaced, and not for obvious reasons, but again, they told me I can't do one without the other. They won't give me a C of O without addressing the situation with the fencing that's been there for 25, 30 years.
Let me ask a question. Has the code ever allowed an 8-foot fence?
No, in fact, now with the 6-foot, it's to the front line of the house, so you
Right.
really, for most of it, you only
It's
needs a
only a
2-foot
2-foot variance,
yeah.
right. But again, it's,
I mean, I would have to go back, not that,
he's
not
saying,
since-
he seems to think that the code allowed
May
it
have
at some
allowed it,
point.
or it may have not
Or
been
may have-
regulated.
may
I don't know,
have been-
'cause I
right,
guess
it
there
may not
wasn't
have spoken
anything-
to it at all to prohibit it, so.
I mean, like I said, I mean, look,
Which
what
makes
I
it a
explained, the original
pre-existing
deck was built,
non-conforming, You'd be allowing the replacement of it.
the original deck was built in, well, not
know,
original,
yeah,
but the
yeah.
deck, the existing deck that's there was put on in 2002, and a permit was issued. There wasn't any violation, there wasn't any issue for this. And the building department told me that subsequently in 2007, it's changed. I had other work done on the house back in 2014. People were out to the house, did work, inspected, signed off. Nobody said anything to me in 2014. Oversight, I don't know, person isn't here anymore.
Your pine trees were hiding it.
I just, the deck needs to be replaced, so that's really what started all of this. And then inform that the fencing is there, and because of rules that changed and town code that changed, I can't get a C of O for the deck unless you guys okay this, and what I'm asking you is, I mean, it's always been there for 25, 30 years, so that,
I just have a problem if we allow this one. How
Yeah,
do we
I
allow
mean, the only
others?
thing we can do is say it's pre-existing, but that's,
But it,
but
as
if
I
you
said,
rebuild it,
it's
then
tired.
if you need a permit to rebuild it, then you're not gonna get that permit to rebuild it. That's the problem. You are replacing it. So it may not be a violation if you argue that it's been there for 25 years, but then you can't rebuild it without getting a variance. And the fact that it's been there for 25 years is not,
Well, just so I'm clear in terms of, what do you mean rebuild? If the piece of lattice is broken and I replace it, that's considered rebuilding?
Well,
Are
you're
you considering that
doing-
rebuilding
you're
the
not
broken
replacing
pieces?
one piece.
You're not
that-
replacing one piece.
That somebody kicked a hole in, you're replacing whole sections of it.
No, just, again, the ones that are well, again, the storm and whatever and wear and tear, just, which ones that are broken, I replace them.
You said here
Periodically.
on the record that it's crumbling, it's falling apart, lattice, so if you touch it, it crumbles.
Well, yeah, the three pieces what you saw, the missing pieces, they were hanging from the storms, I pulled them off. But I didn't put new ones back in as of yet. Some broke last year, 2 years ago, I did replace them, just because it's got the dogs back there, and if there's they'll just run out.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, 6 foot, I think, you can do 6 foot, I guess now it's part
You
of
do
it.
Front line
6
of the
foot,
house.
if it's
But it
decorative,
still has
you
to be
just
2
got-
feet
you're
in.
gonna
We have that
replace
issue
it.
Yeah, 2
too.
foot, yeah.
Now
you'd
you have the 2-foot problem.
Right.
Now, the fact that the sections along right there at the driveway, you could say that's some sort of hardship or something, but I'm not sure. But the whole length, it's a problem, there's a reason for that. You're supposed to get around to the other side of the fence to maintain it.
Your neighbors should be allowed to get around the other side of that fence to maintain their fence. That's
Which,
Both
the
of you
stockade fence that's
If you
there,
both were 2 feet off the property
Stockade
line, you'd
on-
on the
have,
left side of the house.
by the driveway?
Yeah.
That's my fence.
Yeah.
Beyond the lattice, yours is the stockade fence? Because it
Mine is-
looked like the nicer side was facing in. Is it two nice sides to it?
No, the nice side faces the neighbor, not
Okay,
in.
all right.
That
you said-
entire fence, it's I know it was kind of bad the way, but I tried to break it out on the survey. The first section, there's 4 sections of lattice, and then the stockade
Right.
fence starts and runs all the way down to the gully. That's all,
And that fence has obviously been there for a long time, too.
that's been there,
Because that
same
fence was not
25.
in great shape either.
right. Well, there was a section, right, yeah, I mean, you could tell.
Before, I heard you say, or I understood you to say that where the driveways are, you both have a fence,
No, there's no
and
two,
your neighbor.
no, it's one fence.
It's just 2 different types of fences.
It's 2
is
different
what we're
types of
talking
fence.
about.
It's a lattice,
So it's all yours?
it's all mine. Well, yeah, I mean, it was there on the property. Say it's all mine, it was all
He
mine.
didn't put it up.
I didn't put it up, but yes,
Bought the
it's
house,
my,
it was all there.
Yeah, I understand.
it's mine.
My point I'm
Theoretically,
trying-
it's mine.
My point I'm trying to make, though, is unless you get his permission, you can't go and fix the other side that faces him, of that stockade fence, because you have to be on his property, you're trespassing.
I'm not on his property because,
How do you
Get to
do
the other
anything to the
side.
outside of the outside of the fence?
I mean,
If
if
it's
I walk,
on the property line?
You can't
well,
go
it's,
to the other side.
theoretically, it's not on, because there's the stormwater runoff, which the town put in,
Drainage easement is still somebody else's property.
it's mine.
Okay.
So
So wait a
then-
second, this fence is in a drainage
No, it's
easement?
6 feet, the drainage runs this way, and 6 feet over is the fence. The former highway supervisor ran a runoff drain, repaired the existing runoff drain, and ran it all the way down the property into the gully.
so now
So
you-
where the drain is and the fence is, there's 6 feet between the drain and the fence,
No, they're supposed
which is on my
I
property.
thought you said before.
It's on the
that it's
property
on the property line. Is your fence on the property line?
No. It's not on the property line. It runs down,
Yeah, then why do you need a 2-foot variance for
Yeah.
the property line? If you're 2 feet or more away from the property line, you don't need a variance for that aspect of it. So you're getting us confused.
okay, the fence runs down the side of the property. Between the property line and the fence is the easement for,
And you're not in the easement.
I'm not in the easement, I'm off the easement. The fence is 6 feet
That's true
away,
for the fence throughout the whole length.
all the way down, yes.
Both sides or just one side?
I could not tell you on the other side because that is buried underground.
I
and
can't read this survey, so I can't tell you.
So
I mean, I
then,
could try to point it out to you, but I have no idea. That runoff comes from the hill across the street, under Brandy Lane, and down the side of the property.
No, there are
from
two-
what the
there are
highway
two pipes
department
on
told
each
me.
side of the,
There's runoffs on both sides
but
going,
they're pipe, the buried pipes,
yes,
and they open up into the gully?
yes.
This is 1990s.
Okay, and those are in the,
I'll try to just,
yeah, I mean, that, yeah, no, it's right here,
Yeah, it's,
right here.
okay. So this is.
One of those drains that were just
showing
put
the
in.
property line is
Easements.
There's, between the pipe and the fence, there's 6 feet in between.
and that's your property.
That's my property. There's a stake right here, and then the other stake.
But this is the pipe, this is the pipe opening.
Well, that's the drain, but I'm saying the stake is
Right.
right in the middle.
Okay.
And it runs all the way to the back here.
so if that's true,
And then on the other
wide-
side,
how
I
wide would
couldn't
a
tell
town
you
drainage easement
where the
normally be?
easement,
Who drew-
because
Well, if it's in an
Because the
easement,
property,
it's usually like
the
a minimum of 10
runoff
feet.
Right.
comes from
But
across the
this may-
street, Brandy Lane
The
goes
survey
up this
doesn't
way,
show an
around.
easement, so there could be
There's
a
a
pipe
runoff that
without
comes
an
down, there's an easement on this
You see
side,
that?
and it runs all
The
the way
survey?
down to the back, and here's the
Both
gully.
surveys don't show
No, the
an
gully
easement.
is here.
I'm sorry.
So they would normally pick that up.
So we're running from the street,
Well, now this one
Brandy
shows
Lane is
something.
here, and it runs, so in there's an easement on this side, and there's, the runoff goes here, into the gully in the back, so on both sides of the property.
so if
This
you,
I can tell because there's a grate here where if the town has to go in
Like it
to do any
shows an
cleaning,
easement here.
so it comes halfway down, there's
See?
a
Yeah.
grate,
That
and
looks
then
like an easement.
it continues underground.
And you don't see nothing
You
in
can't
it.
see anything
the drains
at all here because it starts up here.
you don't have any pins on that
And
side.
signs the drain, this survey shows it.
Because if you're more than 2 feet away,
What does that say?
the answer is you fix the fence, you
is in
reduce
there,
it by 2
Steve.
feet behind the front line of your house. You can have a 6-foot fence, as long as it's decorative. You can use your post on that side. On the other side, you need to know
Take
what,
off the lattice and put
Looks like drainage, but what's
something decorative. It's gonna be decorative to the outside. It can't be 8 feet, it's 6 feet. You can chop 2 feet off the top of the post.
See, that's the easement line.
15-foot.
Well, you're gonna have,
Those-
I
these-
not familiar with
This line.
whether lattice would be
and this
considered
line. That's the
decorative or
easement.
not, probably not.
That's his property
Okay, we may
line.
have another issue.
Okay.
This
And this,
says
yeah.
15-foot something. It could be the drainage easement he's talking about, which is not 6 feet, it would be 15 feet, and you're not supposed to have a structure inside of a drainage easement.
We're talking about this side he's not sure of.
But same thing.
I don't know what's.
No, that's what this is. This is the
You
easement.
can't see it on the smaller version.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
says
yeah.
something here, you can't see it a whole lot better here, so.
You have the original one that this was copied from?
This side, there's no problem with the fence.
Well, this is what I got from up
So
there,
this
from the building
side.
department.
When you bought the house, you didn't get a survey done?
So it's right on the
find
property
out.
line, yeah.
Where that could be, if
Because this looks like it's from 1994.
Yeah, but that's right,
Yeah,
you
this
can
I
use an
came from
easement.
upstairs, they gave me a copy.
All right, so that's why you may have a more recent one.
But going from here, that cross, that was just the stockade, the rest is chicken wire. The lattice fence does not go all the way back.
They're showing two pipes in the back. I don't see where they say pipe in the front. You said you saw a pipe in the front?
Well, there's a catch basin across the street over here. I'm just assuming that when
Well,
the
you
water
can't
goes in the
assume.
catch basin, it runs in the pipe.
Oh, that's the
Tom,
exit
how can
pipe.
we
I thought
confirm
you
if
said
there's a drainage easement on the
I
property?
just
Well, you
think there's no-
you can still use it, it's just subject to the town's right to
Right.
take it out, so.
Shouldn't- We shouldn't be encouraging structures in
know
it, though.
exactly
No, but-
where it is, but there's an easement.
Looks like 15-foot drainage easement.
Drainage easement, that's what
Yeah,
it
it
looks
says
like.
15-foot drainage
The 6
easement.
feet doesn't,
Yeah.
wouldn't normally make sense. You
Is
can't
it
get a
right here?
vehicle inside of 6 feet.
Yeah, this
That's
is
the opposite side.
No, this is, we were talking about both sides. This is Brandy Lane. Here's a 15-foot easement up
Well,
this
it's
side.
partially on the other
And
side,
it
on
says
the
up
other
here
lot.
15-foot.
It goes
drainage
across
easement.
the property line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's half on the other lot and half on
That's
this
the
lot.
back.
So that's, because I just can't see, there's a dimension here, but I can't read it.
What are they pointing at? They're pointing
Dennis,
here?
Dennis came in about 10 years ago
Yeah.
and dug along the whole side of the house and put a
Wire
brand new
fence, that's
system in.
pointing at that.
Outside of the
Oh,
fence.
here,
outside of the
15-foot
fence.
drainage
And the
easement.
way he put it, he set it at 6
But what are
feet
they
away
pointing
from the
to?
fence and ran it straight down.
That's off the back of the property, I think, the 15-foot drainage easement. I don't know.
Looks like it's the channel down the
It's
side.
the whole channel. It's
But-
on this side, it's complete.
I don't know.
Which if there's a pipe that runs through there, that would make sense, but,
Yeah, there is a pipe going through there.
You can see where the pipe exits. It says
Correct.
pipe.
We need a better
In
understanding.
fact,
of-
now I read that, I'm looking at that, looks to me like the fence goes right down the middle of it. That dotted line on both sides, is that the 15-foot easement?
well, I'm not clear where your property line is.
Need a
Who
better
who
drawing.
determined that he needed the fence to be 2 feet in and it's not?
You can't tell that, yeah?
No, we can't. Why was he asked to do that for the?
Yeah, why is
black-
that variance
I
here?
guess when Rick went out, he saw the fence.
to
When
just-
he-
and
That's,
Drawing, that's a
Was there a
building department.
monument somewhere that showed where the property line is?
He's for the building department.
yeah, he came out and said to me, step back.
Yeah.
He came out to do pre-inspection on the deck, and the first thing he said to me was, do you have permits for the fences? And I said, the fences have been there 25, 30 years. I have no idea. It wasn't an issue when I bought the house. I've had people out to the house after that to do other work, to give me permits for other things. Never brought it up, was never an issue. He's the first person that mentioned to me that, well,
It's an
that needs
issue.
to be looked at. Then when I went into the building department, just to get some additional information, Ms. Porter indicated to me, okay, no problem, I understand your situation. I can give you the permit for the new, to replace the new deck that you need, but I cannot give you a C of O until I go in front of the zoning and explain the situation with the fence. She won't give me that unless you okay the existing fencing.
Why do you come up with 6-foot drainage easement?
I didn't come up with a
He
6-foot
didn't come up with a drainage easement.
No,
We
he
jumped to
said
that
before
conclusion
that
that-
there's a 6-foot.
Well,
Hey.
if you're asking me
Dennis told
the
him-
difference between where the pipe runs and where the fence sits, there's, on my property, it's 6 feet from where the drain runs down
Don't
and where
know
the
that
fence
that's your
is.
property.
But did Dennis tell you it was your property when he did put the pipe in?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
so
there's-
that's where you
there's-
got it
there's
from.
survey-
Dennis
there's
told the former
stakes.
highway superintendent.
I
him
understand
it was
that,
his
but
property.
I tried, he said 6-foot drainage easement before. Their survey says 15 feet, so they may
So I
have...
don't remember if I said that. If I did, I apologize. I was trying to say it's 6 feet is the
Yeah.
difference between where the pipe runs
I
and where
think I
the
used
the
that
understand
fence
what you're
starts.
trying to say, but there's a difference, and I'm not trying to be nitpicky in this, except in the sense that when they put the pipe in, they might have been nice and not affected your fence. But the way I'm reading that survey right now, it seems to say 15 feet, your fence is right in the middle of that 15 feet. And we can't approve anything inside the easement. We simply can't do it. That fence should be taken out. I mean, if they were nice not to affect it, that was their choice.
Why don't we check the highway superintendent's
Yeah,
records and
let's
see what we can do to
see
clear it
what
up?
we,
Listen, I mean, you know, he came and put a new drain system in.
let's check. All right?
You
Because
know,
for him to have put something in, he had to have some right to go on your property to begin with. So it could very well be when the lot was originally developed that there was a drainage easement put in at that point, and he was just updating a pipe. I have no idea. I can't say that.
The pipe
But he
original,
can't come on your property unless there's an easement to let him do that. We can't, the town can't do work on private property.
I mean, there's no doubt on the map it shows an easement. And
Right.
and the survey shows a spot where a pipe comes out,
And this survey is dated 1994, so.
yeah. So,
So I think we have,
so
to-
if he,
if
so,
you don't have an updated survey,
I mean, I
Eddie,
gotta
then
go
I think
check
we
the
have to check
attorney.
with the town and see what we have.
okay, well, I mean, I got this from upstairs, so I'll call my attorney and see what's in the file.
Yeah, I mean, if they have if the bank has an updated survey, yeah, they definitely. When did you buy the property?
Oh, 15 years ago.
Okay, so maybe the bank has a better survey.
I'll check with the attorney, because he's
Okay.
got
In the
the
meantime, we'll
file.
check with our, maybe.
Okay, that's fine.
All
But
right.
just to clarify, you made a comment about coming onto the property. I don't know what,
no,
Tom, that the highway comes on to do an improvement for water runoff from flooding on the street and everything else, and comes and does that. Where does that leave?
Well, we're going to check our records to
Yeah,
see. I mean, it does show an easement.
your survey...
just that
yeah. Sorry, Tom.
If he was 6 feet away from your fence, this survey, the fence is marked in the middle of what appears to be an easement. So if he moved
That's my,
the...
okay, I just highlighted just
No,
for,
okay.
No,
yeah, it's not actual, I just tried to do it for
So if he put the
explanation.
pipe behind your fence on your neighbor's property,
I don't see
he may have gotten an extension to that easement from the neighbor. So we'll check and see. So that, but that, you know, he,
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember, I mean, okay, I mean, we were just, that he was fixing it, we were just kind of happy, because then it ended all the flooding that was going on.
Yeah, but it is also possible that your neighbor may have also given some easement also.
Yeah,
Or
we'll
there may
check
be
the
an easement
town.
on the neighbor's property also, that you may not be aware of on both sides.
Okay,
Because as my,
that was originally Bentley, I don't, okay, I don't, okay.
as Jim,
It's not unusual for them to do
Okay.
it, is to take 6 feet from adjoining property.
So let's go back to the 8-foot issue,
Okay,
because
on the other side, okay, because the stockade
I
one,
want to
that's
deal
6
with the
feet.
8-foot issue. That's, you're dealing with the 2-foot in, whether it's 2 feet in or not. So we
I
still
was
have to
dealing with
clarify
both,
that.
yeah.
But the 8-foot fence, we still have that issue.
The lattice fence is on both sides.
Yes.
The lattice fence on, if you're standing from the street looking down, the lattice fence is on the right-hand side, goes down about 3/4 of the way. On the left-hand side, it's only whatever, there's 4,
Do you have pictures?
I did not take a picture. There's 38 feet of lattice fence the driveways, and then there's 23 feet of stockade fence,
And then it goes.
and then it goes down another 126 feet of stockade all the way down to the gully. So what I just tried to do is I went on my scribble on the survey, I just tried to break it out to show you that there's 38 feet of lattice fence, and then there's 23 feet of stockade fence. And then after that, because then there's, in front of the house going that way, it's chicken wire fence. And then from that point, going back to the gully is another 126 feet of stockade fence. So theoretically, if you want the whole thing, it's 38 feet of lattice, and then it's 149 feet of stockade fence on the left-hand side of the property. On the right-hand side of the property, as Ms. Drummond had indicated when we started, front of the house, they kind of split it only halfway with lattice, the other half chicken wire, and then I explained that part of the problem was the ground isn't level. And then when you go straight down the side of the house, that's all lattice fence going down 100 feet, and then after that is chicken wire to the back to the gully, and then there's chicken wire that runs the back portion of the property is all chicken wire to the gully.
I mean, it makes sense that this get cleaned up so it's consistent. The 8 feet's gonna be a problem, but that's easily reduced. If you're gonna replace the fencing and you wanna keep the post, you can reduce it by the 2 feet. The question, my big question is, where is your property line and where are your posts? You don't really know.
Well, I know, I mean, again, I know the one stake is still there in front of the house on that side of the
The metal
property.
pin,
Oh, there's a stake, yeah.
wooden stake,
Wooden stake?
No, it's a metal,
metal
Oh, a
pin.
middle-
well,
okay.
whatever they used, yeah, is there.
It's called a pin.
And, well, it's actually, it's a piece of fence metaling is what they hammered in, and the little tiny thing on the bottom. And the back of the property line is actually in the gully, and that pin is gone. Because the property in the back of the property,
The
it doesn't
point-
run this way. The property line runs at an angle that way, and the property line actually goes into the gully on the property in the back.
The
So
point-
that pin is all the way in the back in the gully, which you can't see.
But it's a straight line, so if you had the, right? So if you had the pins, you could run a rope from one to the other. But if you don't have the pins, then you need a surveyor to tell you where your property is.
It's out in the back. It's in the gully.
All right, I don't.
Because when Dennis
we're going round and round
excavated
in
the whole.
circles at this
Okay,
point,
I'm saying
okay?
when that gully was excavated, that was knocked out.
Okay, so we, again,
Okay.
we all understand, you don't know where your property line is, so we either have to find an updated survey, or we have to check with the town
Okay, so
highway
tell me,
department
what
and
do
see
you,
what
what
they
do you need
have.
from me to submit to you? Look for a survey, which probably the lawyer has, so I can make copies of that for you. And what else do I need to
Well, I
provide you?
I think bottom line is, if the fence gets reduced to 4 feet, we don't even have to see this anymore, okay? That's
On that
number one.
side.
If the fence is
Okay.
6 feet, you still have to be 2 feet in from the property line, so you need to know what your property line is,
Okay,
all right? So it's, the ball's in your court.
so you need you need a better survey.
Right.
Would make that determination.
Yes.
What
Oh,
the next
definitely,
step
that'll
would
be a big
be.
help.
If
But
you,
even with a
if you
4-foot
want to keep
fence,
it 6 feet, you need a survey.
But even with a 4-foot fence, if it's on the property line, it needs to be on the property line, and we still need to know where the property line is.
As long as it's
But then he doesn't
within his
need us.
property,
He
and his
doesn't
neighbor's
need
But
not
if we don't know
complaining,
where the
does it?
boundaries are, then
But that's not our problem.
Yeah,
If it's
it doesn't
4
need a
feet, we
variance
don't get
for it.
involved. If they put it
Right.
on the neighbor's property, that's with them and the neighbor.
that'll be the next thing. Okay.
Right.
Then, well, they have to take care of that in other
Correct.
ways, not with us.
And you can find out who took over from the surveyor, because all they need to do is to update this survey, so you don't even need a
I mean,
new
the
survey.
attorney, I mean, again, there's one in his closing file, so it's just getting a copy for you guys.
Okay,
That
you
would
know,
make
from
it
that-
a
from that
lot easier.
standpoint.
perfect.
All right, so we can't,
Okay.
I don't think we can schedule this for a public hearing. I think you have to come back with more information for us.
Okay, so survey, what else could I give to you that would help?
Again, if you can find from the building department or the highway department, if they have
We
any
need
records.
information about the drainage
The
easement.
drainage easement, if they have it, or maybe our building
So-
department.
Do you
Tom
want me to
can
go
check
down?
on, from the highway
We'll
department.
check on that.
Okay, you'll check on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because
So
that'll help us.
Tom, it was probably about 10, I would say it's at least 10 years ago.
The improvement may have been done 10
Yes.
years ago, but if the easement is already listed on a survey from 1994, the survey was filed long before that.
The easement.
The
The
easement.
easement was filed long before that.
Okay. So you
Right,
have
so
to
when you
check
bought the
that.
property, it would have shown up in your title
It would've-
report.
It's probably, yeah, it was there. It was probably there. I could pull
So-
the old title too if you want, just to see what's written
That's not
That
gonna help
helps.
us.
with the survey.
It might help Tom, it's not going to help us.
Okay, so
All right.
you want let's say, for argument's sake, the
You
attorney
get
has
the
a survey.
survey, Tom can deal with the highway
Okay,
information, because that's information that the town should have, okay?
Okay.
And then we'll see you next month.
okay. So do I just need to go back to the
You
office?
need to bring a survey
No, that,
in.
I'm just saying to get back on for next month.
Yeah, just bring it to Pam.
over to Pam.
We're gonna schedule again for a review for
Yes,
next month.
it's
Hopefully
got to
we
be
have
another
everything
review.
All right, so I'll try to get copies for everybody, and I'll drop them off in your office for the survey. All right, so I'll just work on finding a survey. And I guess then we'll make a decision from that standpoint. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay, okay, thanks, everybody.
Item number 9, Appeal A373, I don't want to say this wrong, Rugo? Oh, Brian. That's a lot easier.
No offense.
Patrick Rugo, 30 Round Hill Road, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a 15-foot sideline variance for a proposed 30-foot by 40-foot detached garage pursuant to Section 194-107C of the zoning ordinance. Good evening. So this is the first we're seeing this.
Yep.
And you're giving us new surveys?
An accurate survey, I know where the
Yes,
property
okay.
line is, the house, existing house is shown. And then if you look at sheet 2 is actually a rendering that we did of the detached garage. What the applicant wants to do is obviously put a detached garage behind his house. The way the driveway currently is graded, there's a garage under, and if you naturally pull forward, it's a natural movement toward, a future garage. And the reason why the applicant has the garage size as 30 by 40 is, he's got an expanding family, he's a young family, and they're into riding four-wheelers and things like that, recreational
Not
activities.
on their property, I
Not
hope.
on the property, they travel.
Okay,
So what they wanted to do is try to keep it contained.
good answer.
Yes. Keep it contained into one area. And he also is an avid four-wheel guy, so he wants to put a lift in there and work on his Jeep. So it's
That's
gonna-
the reason for this,
Right.
the extra height on?
Right, so
It
there'll
looks like
be,
there's a dormer in it.
yeah, there'll be, if you look at it, I think the left bay has a lift in it, which would push the vehicle up into the dormer area. And then on the right side, we just have storage, not finished or anything like that, but just storage for
Okay, and
parts.
this is all personal use? There's no automotive business or anything like that? We just have to establish that for the record, that's all.
Right, and and what we're doing is, the way the property is sloped, it kind of goes up in the back, so the rear of the detached garage can have an elevated concrete wall, just act as a partial retaining wall to help with grading. And then, there is some existing pines along the property line, and what we propose to do is throw a couple more pines in there to provide some additional screening, obviously match the species that's there. He's had conversations with his neighbor who's on Lot 25,
Okay.
which is to the right or the south of the house. And they seem to be in agreement with what he wants to do. Obviously, they'll be notified during a public hearing, but there has been dialogue between the two.
To the extent he can get a letter ahead of time and save them the trouble of coming here, that would be helpful, obviously, because they are the most impacted.
Right.
So why is he proposing to put it 20 feet back from the existing house?
That's just naturally where the driveway
That's
ends.
the best place for it?
Right. He's actually paved 20 foot past the house. So
Oh,
it's-
already?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where the driveway ends, so he just figured, let's put it right there. And he also has, like a patio area in his backyard, so it's like kind of like a natural movement up into the backyard.
Okay. Well, and sometimes you want to be able to get through there with the mowers and everything else, so.
Right.
All right. Where's septic and other things?
Septic's in the front, wells in the back, so there's no encroachment on either.
Okay. And the 30 feet is the part, the size that goes to the neighbor, that impacts the neighbor. Why not 24 feet?
Just the way the lift is and the spacing of the lift and the size of the garage doors that he wanted, it kind of expands it to 30
Okay.
feet.
No, I understand. That's, as you expect, we have to ask the question, so. All right, so no livable space, but some storage space upstairs on the part of the building where the lift is not.
Correct.
Okay. And the fact that he's proposing screening, you know, again, that helps, so. Questions, comments from board members?
No, thank you.
I'm good.
We okay for public hearing? Motion?
Motion for public hearing.
All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you. We will see you next month.
Have a good one. Great holiday.
Item number 10, Appeal 3874 Shelton, Kelvin Shelton, 1349 Route 82, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a 4-foot sideline and a 14-foot front line variance for a pre-existing dwelling which was built in 1953, and an expansion of a non-conforming building pursuant to Section 194-17 and 194-121 of the zoning ordinance. Good evening.
Good evening.
So again, this is the first time we're seeing what you're requesting, so if you don't mind taking us through. Pre-existing dwelling, obviously, we're not going to deal with that. Zoning came into effect in the town in 1963, so don't worry about the existing house, we're not going to make you move it. Okay?
Okay.
But
Unless you
we're going to
want to.
clean
I
it
mean, I don't
up.
mind if if you pay for it, I'm good. I'm good for it. Okay.
But, so what are you're expanding this building?
I'm just expanding, if you're looking at the house from 82, the left side, I'm expanding. And the problem is the right side. I am not doing anything on the right back part of the house.
Oh, okay, got it. So the side that you're actually building the expansion to is not the side that's encroaching?
Correct.
So again, no matter what we do, your house is still going to be encroaching in the other side yard?
And the problem is, that should have been taken care of when they built the house, the road, to begin with.
If the setback was that size at the time, at the time the house was built, there was no zoning. So there was no,
No, I'm talking about the new house that's in the back, that's in question, that makes me have to get a variance in the first place.
was a
'Cause that's
lot
new-
line changed?
Yes.
Oh,
Because the original house was the Hefner's, and the new driveway is a new house. It's a new, so I don't
it
understand.
could be a new house, but did the lot itself change?
Yes, it did.
The
It went
line
from
of the lot?
125 to 100 feet.
So they took property from you?
No, they took property from the owner, and she
Oh,
subdivided it.
from the previous owner of your lot?
Correct.
Oh,
She subdivided the property.
Okay.
do you know when?
I think it was 2006 or 7.
When?
2006 or 7? Uh-oh.
Exactly.
All right, we're going to do a little research on this, but again, no matter what we do to shrinking your expansion is not going to shrink the necessity for this variance. So given that, are we okay for a public hearing? I mean, it's certainly not his doing.
Motion to advertise.
Yeah, so,
Second.
all in favor? Aye. Pam will give you your instructions for your sign. We'll look into this, rest of this issue, but again, this is,
Okay,
all right, we'll see you next month.
all right.
Wow, that was easy. Confusing, but easy.
What was the name of the previous one?
All right, item number 11, Appeal 3875, Steer, okay. Ira Steer, 33 Pitcher Drive, Hopewell Junction, is requesting an 8-foot rear line variance for a proposed patio pursuant to Section 194-93 of the zoning ordinance. Good evening.
Good evening.
So you are in Hopewell Glen.
Yes.
Are you aware of some recent correspondence from one of the board members of Hopewell Glen? Apparently, you went to the HOA to get approval for this patio?
Yes, and we did receive the approval from.
Yeah, and
HOA.
apparently one of the board members is questioning whether the approval is legitimate or not.
What is the date of that?
May 22nd. So I'm going to share mine because I can get another copy of it. You should be aware of this because it could very well be that mean that you have to go back to the HOA.
What was in question was a pergola.
No, it's somebody is questioning whether there was an appropriate notice of the board and everything else to actually give that HOA approval.
The only thing it refers to is the patio.
Yeah, it's just dealing with the patio, so nothing else. I'm just giving you a heads up that you may, and it doesn't look like it's anything you did. That's why I just want to make sure you're aware of this. So you may have to revisit with your HOA just to make sure you got the clear from them. All right, so let's us take this through, just to make sure we're all clear with what you're asking for.
Brian Lansman.
It's going back to, it's going
Just
back
be
to
careful, the microphone's on over there. Okay, so you're taking your rear yard and finishing it,
Yes.
okay. And so this is the, oh, this is where we're run into, how tall are the retaining walls that you're proposing?
33 inches.
33 inches.
They're under the 4 feet, yeah.
Okay, do me a favor, can you be near the microphone?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That's all, just so that.
They're under the 4 feet.
Okay. So right outside the back of the house, because there's multiple retaining walls here, so,
Yes, and each one steps down.
okay. And then by the Bilko door there, there are steps, because there's the fact that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps.
That's 35 inches. There's 6-inch steps.
Oh, they're 6-inch, not
Yes.
8-inch?
No.
Okay,
8
all right.
inches over code.
Well,
in
I'm-
New Jersey, it's over code. I don't know what it is here. 7 is max in Jersey. The block is 6-inch.
Okay, that's why I'm questioning it. So, okay, we also have fire pits and other structures. Do we have concerns about, they are subject to what size variance? Because Hopewell Glen has different setback standards. So how far does a fire pit have to be from the rear property line?
15
Is-
feet, I don't know.
Is it the 30 feet?
That'd be for an accessory structure, so, let's see. All right,
I think it's 30,
yeah,
right,
that's
yeah,
it.
okay.
Is the definition of a fire pit a natural wood fire pit or
Gas.
a gas fire pit?
No, it's, if
It's the structure
it's a
itself.
structure, if it has to sit, if it relies on the ground to exist, it's a structure.
Okay.
And so that's what we have to look at, is whether that meets the setbacks or not,
Okay.
okay?
Didn't know that.
Yeah,
Standard is usually, it has to be 10 feet, minimum 10 feet from the house, from a structure, a house. And in New Jersey, we don't consider it a structure. It's
Well,
a
it's New York.
seat wall would be a structure then also, and piers would be a structure?
well, you're
We don't
calling,
deal with
Well,
too
for a
many
wall
piers.
under
calling it a
48 inches, you don't
retaining
need a building
wall.
permit.
We don't deal with too many
You don't need
piers
a
in East
building permit,
Fishkill.
but you need.
Okay, so a pier and then a
Yeah,
seat
anything
wall.
that's built on the ground,
So a
basically.
patio would be a structure then
So
also,
patio's classified as a patio, though.
yeah, patio is different.
okay? Just
Yeah.
for my own knowledge, I don't know.
A
It's
patio
different
is
here.
usually 15 feet in, but again, this is a different development. You have the cluster subdivision here, so it's got different setback requirements.
Right.
That's why we have the town attorney looking those up, okay?
I'd like to point out
That's
that right
it, I
behind
see
our
it on
house
TV,
is
right?
dedicated open space.
Okay, so it's the same as the one lot we
Yes.
saw earlier in the
Yes.
evening?
Right.
Okay.
There's about 100 yards of dedicated.
100 yards, it's 50 feet in others, so,
Well, I believe it's 120 feet of open space between the next set of buildings, and then there's 120 feet on that side.
okay. How about property lines? Tell me what's the
Between property
difference
lines,
between property lines or
150
between
feet.
structures?
It's 150 feet between property lines, I believe. We can check that. I'm not,
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Detached units. 20 feet from the current, 20 feet from the side. Sidewalk.
Okay. Just so
also-
I'm clear, define risers.
I'm sorry?
How are you defining risers? What are
Risers
they
are your-
physically?
Riser is your step. You rise, and then you
6-inch
tread.
block.
So
Rise.
that's what I'm missing. Is it block? Is it wood? Is it what is
Block.
it?
It's all block, yes.
Okay.
6-inch
You
block.
should have a material list also, I believe there.
Well,
But
we
there was a
have this.
material list. There should be also
15
an
feet is the
engineering
minimum
drawings.
side.
Okay, that could be with the rest of the file, okay?
CRD.
But,
It's
Just-
all block, decorative block, Cambridge products, or Teckle block, whatever.
okay.
This
And
is
define the water spillway.
And what do they have?
It's just a spillway comes out and drops into a dry
How
well.
high?
The spillway is
Here
3
it is,
feet,
here.
Is 3 feet?
3 feet high.
Minimum
But it's,
side
again,
yard,
it's a
15.
freestanding walls,
20, 30
not retaining.
Okay,
Does
so
a
as long as it's,
decoration, a fountain-type
I'm
decoration?
sorry? Yes.
Yes.
So we're,
so as long as it's
Does he need a variance?
lower than, well, it's in the rear yard, so I guess a wall requires engineering if it's more than 4 feet.
But isn't that for retaining?
Yeah.
No, well,
This
no,
is-
it's any,
It's just decoration, they're having
Yeah.
a,
oh, I think any
well,
wall.
if you put a
'Cause
4-foot fountain in,
Remember we
that's,
had the issue up in, we had another wall that would have required engineering if they were doing,
But if
You're
you
right,
put a
that was a
fountain,
retaining
if you're
wall.
just putting a fountain, this doesn't
This
require,
is
this
the
is just a standing
Yeah. Like a
decoration.
seat wall.
Backyard,
Seat walls are 21 inches.
So it's like if you had the water come over the front of the podium.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
exactly what it's going to do.
this was the one I wanted. You gotta read it.
3 feet high. I'd like to point out on the drawing where you
What's
see the
that thing?
trees that are encircling the entire patio area. Those trees are being planted. They're starting at 6 feet tall,
okay, good.
okay?
This is
And
it.
you can see how many there are that
15-foot setback.
the view of the
This is
patio
shrubbery.
will be totally obstructed from any other direction.
Are they evergreens or are they deciduous trees?
They're evergreens.
Evergreens, okay, good.
30 feet,
Inside a 6-foot-high black decorative metal fence.
10 feet.
Okay, all right. Explain the built-in kitchen. That's a grill?
Yes, it's a grill. The stainless steel grill. There's a refrigerator, garbage, hiding out garbage.
Okay, so it's in a wood structure, it's
No,
in a
it's all
stone,
stone,
it's in a
stone,
stone.
Granite
Requesting
countertop.
8-foot rear yard.
and
So
the
again,
fixtures
that's a
all-
structure, and so how far in is that?
That's going to be well within the 25 feet.
But the rear yard
Because here's the rear
is 30 feet.
A rear yard is 30 feet for a structure?
Rear
For,
yard,
That's where we're at, we're in the rear yard.
yeah. Hopewell Glen.
Yeah.
And side yard's
So what
15.
we're saying is that
But
he
you're
can't
gonna
really
need more
build
variances
anything.
than you're thinking you're gonna
So he
need.
really can't build anything. That's what we're saying.
No, you're gonna ask for more variances than you thought you needed. You're here once,
Oh,
let's take care
okay.
of everything at one time.
Okay,
We're just making sure we're covering all of your issues. so
okay.
Yeah.
we're not doing it piecemeal.
I mean, clearly, you're making a significant investment in your property here.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't, the only question I really have is how close to your
7'6".
neighbors? Are you going to be impactful on them, okay?
No, it's 10 feet.
Well,
yeah.
the side,
this line.
the side issues, we are within the sides of the back footprint of the house, which is according to the
Understood.
HOA.
So where is your neighbor, though? Are you in a straightaway area where the neighbors are right next to each
the-
other?
yes, they
Or
are.
like earlier, we were talking about a cul-de-sac where the neighbors were,
Right.
No, we're in a straightaway.
you're in a straightaway.
Yeah.
Have you talked
So
with your
with the-
neighbors?
No, not yet.
Not yet?
Well, I've just did one patio for one of the neighbors, so.
Okay. This is clearly an entertaining area.
Yes.
Entertainment is noise, so that's what you got to be sensitive to. The fact that you put some trees in, that will absorb a lot of that noise, so that's certainly will be helpful. You're not putting a pool in, you've got a spa, I see that, but, you know, a little spa is not going to get lots of kids in it or something like that, so that's what we have to be
I'm
sensitive
past the kid's
to.
years.
What?
I'm past my kid's years.
I hear you. Okay, so what are the structures we need to worry about the 30 feet for? The fire pit?
Yeah, this backside, I think he needs a 23-foot rear yard variance to bring it down to 7 foot because this fire, whatever this is over here near the fire pit, it's 7'6" from the rear line.
The fire pit is 7 foot? No, the patio there, the
Is
risers.
that what are those 3 boxes? They just
Seats, those are
changed-
seats.
You want me to step up?
Yeah, come on up, because I think these are seats around the fire pit.
See,
So
they have
those
separate-
seats are not permanent
Yes,
seats.
those are-
Those go
that's
inside,
furniture.
yeah, that's,
That's furniture.
so that we don't have to worry about. It's the fire
Alright, so
pit,
it's the
Tom?
Fire pit, so that line is.
So we need this measurement from the property line?
From here to here, I believe is
Into the
15
property.
feet.
This we need.
This is 7'6",
Six
this is
is-
in the center of
That's
this.
the-
Looks like it's about 13 feet.
Yeah, so I need this measurement.
plus the wall's a foot, so that's another 6
We
feet to
need
this
this
edge, and then the fire's a
measurement?
foot in from
Well,
that.
just to the fire.
Looks
Alright.
about 13
To
feet
the
to me.
built-in
I don't know.
kitchen?
My
Is that a
eyeball.
structure, that whole box?
Roughly.
You're calling it a structure, I guess that's what
Yeah,
it is.
well,
Yeah.
is this a
Yes.
man-made material? Okay. So what is it from this point to here, you think? Is-
From here to here is
From here to
probably,
there.
it's probably close to 20 feet. I'm sorry, 15 feet.
15.
So the fire pit's going to be more,
so-
because that's
a
only
15
getting
foot
them
rear
to,
yard.
It looks- You sure it's 15?
And this is all patio over here?
No, this is
No, that's grass.
Grass,
Patio
okay.
can't go past.
And what is
three-
this here, this box?
okay, the
That's
3 gets
grass
into the edge
also.
of the fire
That's
pit.
grass.
Yes,
Or
okay.
mulch.
3 feet they're doing
So
here.
it looks like
3 feet. They're all
13.
gonna
No, those are,
All right, let's not have multiple
No, but this little,
conversations.
those
Oh,
are just
it's just
measurements.
Oh, half of
Yeah.
this.
we thought
be
it was.
half of that.
Okay, so you don't need, so, side yard, they don't need anything?
No.
So it's just a 15-foot rear yard?
That's 10. I don't think,
Fire
We see 13 feet for the fire
I see
pit.
Well, the fire
13
pit's
feet. I think 50, yeah, I think you're closer than 15 feet.
Because it says 10
Yeah.
and 3.
No, that's different. We're talking about
Well,
here.
but I'm bringing it across here. Here's your, if that's your 3 foot, look, it goes all the way across right to the fire pit line.
Right, but you're going from this point,
I'm
3,
going
this is
from-
out here.
I'm going the 10 foot here, and
Is-
then the
is
3
this- is
foot.
this-
Oh, is the 3 foot that side?
Yes. Different
Got
I
it.
know, but this is 10 feet.
To this
You're,
point.
you're saying
Right,
that
if
from
this is
here
10.
to there is half of this? I don't think so.
No way. Yeah, that's not half of
Might be 4,
this.
might be 3.5, but
Well, why don't we, for safety,
here to
make it 17
here.
feet?
Okay.
Okay, but we still need it for the kitchen, right? That's another structure?
Kitchen, you're within the,
No, that's within the, where's the kitchen?
well, the kitchen doesn't infringe more than the fire pit.
Probably 20 feet.
Yeah, but if you give them a rear yard variance to 17 feet, everything in the back,
It's taken care of.
right, is clear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they're across the whole back.
And same with the waters.
nobody has a
Waterway.
ruler, right?
Yeah.
I don't take measure or anything, no, okay. All right, she probably has one.
I have a scale in the car. That's usually, I usually have one. There in my,
I have a scale.
no. You have one?
Well,
Oh,
Yeah, I don't have one with me.
That says 15 feet.
I have a pointer, but that wouldn't do you too much good.
wouldn't help us, right?
Always have one of those. Okay, so we think
17 foot. rear yard.
17 feet will do
That
it.
knocks it down to 13 feet, right? So
To
anything,
the other side of it.
Got it.
looks like everything's more than 13 feet from the.
Right.
I think it's
That's-
13. If you look at the other measurement, the 15.9, the 15.9 goes well
I
past the
think
fire
13
pit.
will do it.
13 is probably safe. You might be okay with 14, but 13
I
probably
think
Yeah, but what
13.
he,
is away, so you need a
that's what it's away, so
17
we
foot-
need 17 feet.
17-foot variance.
You both got to the same answer, just,
Yeah.
Different
different
logic.
17-foot variance.
17-foot variance, yeah.
Granting a variance of 17 feet.
do I hear
reducing to
17
13.
feet again? 3 times the charm. Alright. I mean, this looks beautiful,
14
it really
feet, 6
does, so,
inches.
14 feet, 6 inches.
I was close to
But,
15.
so 13 is safer, I think.
yes.
But then, yeah, the only other concern we
17
have
foot
then is
variance.
this thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
On the rear,
'Cause otherwise-
rear line.
Eating-
that would be
Getting
fine.
hungry.
Yeah.
So that
Do we
will,
need
that
anything
will
on the
cover
side?
everything then that's in within that?
All the structures.
All the structures?
No, you're just saying reducing.
So
the
just
rear
one
yard
variance
to
then would
17
cover
foot.
the entire,
Yes, but Pam, we're gonna have to spell out the
Yeah,
multiple structures or something.
well, shown in the plan.
Yeah, okay, that's fine, okay? But then you're gonna stick to the plan, right?
Pay money for that, right?
Okay, all right, thank you, folks, if you don't mind, go on back. All right, so any other questions or comments from board members?
I'm good.
I think we got that.
Yeah.
And then to straighten out the toll brothers.
I think,
Yes, you're gonna,
are we able to have this copy,
you
or?
can have that copy, yes, that's yours, okay? So I'm just letting you know,
Thank you.
all right, us giving you approval is gonna be subject to the HOA approving it.
The HOA has approved it.
Not according to
Right, but
that.
he's- The Toll Brothers is the HOA. He's just a board member from.
He's one of 5 members.
He's one of 5 members,
Yeah.
and
But
so
it's a
if there's a
majority vote.
The
question.
majority vote is
Yeah.
the Toll Brothers.
But if there's a question about noticing for the meeting and other things, I'm just letting you to be
Yeah.
aware of it,
Okay.
okay?
we're just making it clear, if we give you the variance and they say no, I mean, you're still stuck. with it.
Right.
All right, that's all.
We can't override them.
Motion to advertise?
Thank you.
Second?
All in favor? Sorry, I'm writing. Thank you. Pam, we'll give you your instructions for your sign, okay? And then we'll see you next month. To the extent that you can, talk to your neighbors, okay?
So 2 letters would be sufficient?
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah, as you saw, I read them into the record earlier, for your other neighbor, so, okay? Have a good night.
Have a great night.
You too. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.